Good evening, America. Sometimes the spotlight follows celebrities right into a courtroom. This is the story of Cardi B and a legal battle that gripped the nation. In September 2025, a Los Angeles jury ended a years-long dispute between the rapper and a security guard. The case raised tough questions about fame, privacy, and what happens when two worlds collide. On one side, a security guard who felt wronged. On the other, a superstar fighting for her reputation. The trial forced a jury to decide between two conflicting stories. Ultimately, Cardi B won, but the emotional impact lingered for both sides. Let's break down what happened, why it mattered, and what we can learn from this high-profile case. To truly understand this case, we need to step back in time to the spring of 2018, in the heart of Los Angeles. The city was buzzing with its usual energy, but for one woman, life was about to change in ways she never expected. At just 4 months pregnant, Cardi B was carrying a secret that only a handful of people knew. She was determined to keep her pregnancy out of the public eye, protecting her privacy and her unborn child from the relentless attention of the media. On a quiet afternoon, Cardi arrived at her obstetrician's office in Los Angeles. The clinic had been closed to other patients for her visit, a special arrangement to ensure her privacy and safety. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with anticipation. As she entered the lobby, she was greeted by Imani Ellis, a security guard assigned to the building. Ellis was there to maintain order and protect everyone inside, but she had no idea who her next visitor would be. What started as a routine request for identification quickly became something more. The exchange between Cardi and Ellis grew tense, each woman feeling the pressure of the moment for different reasons. In just a few minutes, words were exchanged and emotions ran high. Those brief moments would later be dissected in courtrooms and legal documents, becoming the very heart of a lawsuit that would drag on for years. Cardi B, already anxious about keeping her pregnancy a secret, felt threatened and exposed. The stress of the situation weighed heavily on her, amplifying every word and gesture. For Ellis, it was just another day on the job, until she felt her authority was being questioned. She believed she was simply following protocol, but the encounter left her feeling disrespected and misunderstood. That brief, emotionally charged encounter would set the stage for a legal battle that neither woman could have anticipated, a battle that would stretch on for 7 long years, with both sides refusing to back down. In the end, both Cardi B and Imani Ellis would be forced to relive that fateful day in court, each convinced that her version of events was the truth. Their lives, once briefly intertwined in a doctor's office lobby, would remain connected for years by the memory of those few unforgettable minutes. The story began with a shocking accusation that sent ripples through the entertainment world. Imani Ellis, a woman who had worked in close proximity to celebrities, came forward with an account that was both serious and deeply damaging. Her allegations were not just about a single heated moment. They painted a picture of trauma, power, and the struggle for justice against a superstar. According to Ellis, the confrontation escalated quickly. She claimed that Cardi B, the chart-topping rapper known for her bold persona, spat on her during a heated exchange. The incident didn't stop there. Ellis alleged that Cardi B scratched her with her long manicured fingernails, leaving visible marks. These physical actions, she said, were not only humiliating but also painful, adding to the emotional weight of the encounter. But the physical altercation was only part of the story. Ellis also described a barrage of verbal abuse. She alleged that Cardi B hurled racist and fatphobic slurs at her, words that cut just as deeply as any physical wound. The language, Ellis said, was meant to belittle and intimidate her, leaving her feeling powerless in the face of a global superstar. The aftermath of the incident, according to Ellis, was devastating. She said she was left traumatized, emotionally scarred, and even required cosmetic surgery to address the injuries she sustained. The emotional toll was visible. She described sleepless nights, anxiety, and a lingering sense of fear that followed her long after the confrontation ended. The consequences didn't end with her physical and emotional pain. Ellis lost her job, a position she had worked hard to earn, and soon found herself facing mounting financial hardship. She blamed the encounter for her sudden unemployment and the spiral of bills and stress that followed. Seeking justice, Ellis decided to take legal action. She filed a lawsuit against Cardi B, initially seeking a staggering $24 million in damages. Over time, the amount was adjusted, but the core of her claim remained. She wanted accountability for what she described as a life-altering incident. Her legal team emphasized that this case was about more than just money. They argued it was about holding a powerful celebrity accountable for her actions, regardless of her fame or influence. They wanted to send a message that no one, not even a superstar, is above the law. In court, Ellis's lawyers painted Cardi B as someone who used her celebrity status to intimidate and silence those with less power. The glare of the paparazzi and the presence of security guards only heightened the sense of imbalance between the two women. Throughout the proceedings, Ellis remained steadfast. She insisted that she was the victim of an unprovoked attack and that her only goal was to have her story heard and validated. Her testimony was emotional and detailed as she recounted the pain and humiliation she endured. She hoped to convince the jury that her suffering was real and that she deserved compensation for the harm she experienced. The case quickly became a high-profile test of whether fame and fortune could shield someone from responsibility. It raised questions about celebrity culture, power dynamics, and the meaning of justice in the public eye. For Imani Ellis, this was about more than money. It was about justice, accountability, and making sure her voice was finally heard. Cardi B's version was starkly different. She denied ever touching Ellis, insisting it was only a heated argument. Her main concern, protecting her secret pregnancy from public exposure. Cardi B believed Ellis was about to leak her presence at the doctor's office. Her lawyers argued Ellis exaggerated the story for financial gain. They questioned the credibility of the injuries and motives behind the lawsuit. Cardi B portrayed herself as a vulnerable, expectant mother, not an aggressor. She claimed Ellis escalated the situation by following her. Throughout, Cardi B stood firm. She was innocent, fighting to clear her name. The jury had to decide which story to believe. The trial in August 2025 was dramatic and intense. Ellis's lawyers tried to show Cardi B had a pattern of aggression, referencing past incidents. Cardi B, candid and outspoken, took the stand to defend herself. The trial's core credibility. Who was telling the truth? Ellis's team presented photos and testimony about her injuries and trauma. Cardi B's lawyers cast doubt, calling the lawsuit a cash grab. Both sides made passionate closing arguments. The case was handed to the jury, who now held both women's futures in their hands. The stage was set for a verdict that would make headlines. After days of testimony, the jury faced a tough decision. The charges were serious: assault, battery, emotional distress, and more. But the jury deliberated for less than an hour, a sign of their certainty. On September 2, 2025, the verdict was read. Cardi B was not liable on any count. The jury didn't find the evidence strong enough to support Ellis's claims. It was a total victory for Cardi B, ending a 7-year ordeal. The verdict validated her consistent claims of innocence. For Cardi B, it was relief and vindication. For Ellis, it was a crushing disappointment. The legal battle was over, but the emotional fallout was just beginning. Outside the courthouse, Cardi B addressed the media. She thanked her lawyers and fans, then emphatically restated her innocence. "I am not that celeb you gonna sue and think is going to settle," she declared. Cardi B warned she'd fight any future baseless lawsuits, even considering countersuits. Her message: she would not be intimidated or extorted. The victory was personal, proof she'd stand up for herself no matter how long it took. Cardi B's defiance sent a message to fans and detractors alike. She left the courthouse with her name cleared and her resolve stronger than ever. Imani Ellis, deeply disappointed, stood by her story. She insisted the lawsuit was never about money but about accountability. "She assaulted and battered me," Ellis maintained, undeterred by the verdict. The jury's decision felt like a denial of her experience. For Ellis, justice was not served, and her pain remained unacknowledged. Her words highlighted the gap between legal outcomes and personal truth. The trial's end brought no closure, only frustration and lingering hurt. Ellis's fight for recognition and accountability was left unresolved. Her story was a reminder that not all wounds heal with a verdict. The jury's swift verdict brought a dramatic close to a long, contentious chapter that had gripped the public's attention for months. The courtroom, once filled with tension and anticipation, now echoed with the finality of the decision. For many, the speed of the verdict was surprising, signaling that the jury had found clarity in a case clouded by conflicting stories and high emotions. For Cardi B, the outcome was more than just a legal victory. It was a powerful moment of vindication. She stood before the cameras, surrounded by supporters, her relief and confidence unmistakable. The verdict not only cleared her name, but also sent a message to her critics and fans alike. She was willing to fight for her reputation, no matter the cost. This public win reinforced her image as someone who stands her ground, even under intense scrutiny. Emerging from the courthouse, Cardi B appeared more determined than ever. The experience had tested her resolve, but it also seemed to strengthen her commitment to defending herself against future lawsuits and protecting her career. She made it clear that she would not be an easy target for baseless claims, setting a precedent for how she would handle similar challenges going forward. For Ellis, the outcome was deeply painful. She left the courthouse without compensation, without legal validation, and with her claims unrecognized by the court. The disappointment was evident not just in the verdict, but in the sense of isolation that followed. Her hopes for accountability and justice were left unmet, leaving her to grapple with the emotional aftermath of a very public loss. Ellis's quest for accountability had reached a dead end, at least in the eyes of the law. The silence that followed the verdict was heavy, filled with questions about what comes next for someone who feels unheard. The journey had taken its toll, and the path forward remained uncertain. The case itself became a spotlight on the pressures of fame and the unique challenges faced by those who seek justice against powerful public figures. The relentless media attention, the scrutiny from fans and critics, and the constant barrage of opinions made the process even more daunting for everyone involved. It was a reminder of how public legal battles can amplify personal struggles and turn private pain into a spectacle. Ultimately, the trial showed how much credibility can sway a case, especially when the facts are murky and emotions run high. The jury's decision hinged not just on evidence but on who they believed. In high-profile cases like this, perception can be as powerful as proof, and the outcome often reflects which story resonates most with those tasked to judge. For Cardi B, the verdict marked the end of a difficult chapter, a chance to move forward and focus on her career and personal life. For Ellis, however, the story remains unfinished, with questions and emotions still unresolved. Their paths now diverge, each carrying the weight of what happened in their own way. The emotional impact of the trial lingers for both women, serving as a powerful reminder of the human cost behind public legal battles. The anxiety, the tears, and the quiet moments of reflection are all part of the aftermath, affecting not just those at the center of the case, but also their families, friends, and supporters. In the end, this story is about much more than a single verdict. It's about the lasting effects of a moment when two very different worlds collided: celebrity and ordinary life, hope and disappointment, justice and doubt. The ripples from this case will be felt long after the headlines fade, reminding us all of the complexities and consequences that come with seeking justice in the public eye.